Hey guys, Metro here. This is our fifth arena run, and we have a choice of playing Mage. And based on my previous arena run record, I went with 1-3 and 2-3 and another 2-3s. And I've noticed something about the current meta in arena. After GvG comes out, arena basically becomes a lot more aggro. Why? Because it's a lot harder to get good removals because of all the 120 new cards in the pool of available card rules. So one of the mistakes I made previously with the card pick is I try to control the board doing value plays, but then the opponent just keeps hitting face, and then I lose out of tempo, and then I lose in that case. So I'm trying to adopt this. I'm trying to change according to this meta, and I want to do several changes. One of the change I want to do is I'm going to start picking up the healing cards, like the 5 mana 3/3 heal your hero for 8. I'm going to get that if I can. The other one is I'm going to start to get value taunts. So if I see a Sinjin compared to another really good drop, I'm going to pick the Sinjin. Still, something else is I want to be really able to keep the value creatures such as the Harvest Golem and try to play that at turn 3 and make a good trade and control the board. I really like to control the board instead of going face, but depends on the deck I draw. If I have a lot of small creatures, I might have to go for face myself, but depends on the deck. If I have a lot of 5, 6, or 7 creatures, then possibly board control is a better option. Now, since I'm playing main, like that I'll be having many board controls such as Blizzard, Flame Strike, or I can ping Sheep. Now in the first choice we have Injured Blade Master, Questing Adventure, or Arcane Nullifier. I'm going to pick the Arcane Nullifier because it's a good taunt. And it has 5 health. So it's even though it has 2 damage, but I can use my hero power to ping off 3 health creatures. The second choice we have is either Arcane Intellect, Ventricle Mercenary, or Acolyte of Pain. Acolyte of Pain is good late game when you can use your hero power to ping it off. And then you get at least 2 card draws. Arcane Intellect is also good. In this case, that's a spell. That's not a spell, that's a creature. Ventricle is a 5-drop, decent 5-drop, I would say. And I haven't seen this card, I haven't seen this pick in Arena for quite a while. So I'm tempted to pick this one. It's like another version of the 5 mana 8/8 Fell River. Yeah, I think that's the name, Fell River. And it really has a big impact on the board. Your opponent has to either kill it off or they risk of losing the board control at turn 5. So I'm going to pick this card. But the other 2 picks are really good. Okay, Ogre Brute, Frostbolt, or Bluegill Warrior. I'm going to pick the Frostbolt here because it is also a 2 mana and it does 3 damage. This is a similar Frostbolt, but it only does 2 damage. I'm going to pick Frostbolt to stop early game aggro from the opponent player, especially Warlocks. Now, Icelands or Bloodsail Raider. Since Icelands doesn't do any damage, it's just frozen, I'm going to pick Bloodsail Raiders because I still don't have any other ways to freeze besides Frostbolt. And Raid Leader is not a good card by itself. Okay, Mirror Entity, Loot Order, or Lord of the Arena. I'm tempted to pick this card because it's a taunt. It has 5 health. Yeah, it's not the best taunt. But since the current meta is so rushed, it's such a rushy meta, I'm tempted to pick this. Loot Hoarder is also a fine card if you play it on turn 2. It's guaranteed a card draw, or if you can also trade with your opponent's hero power. Mirror Entity, again, this card is being played around too many times. People know to test for Mirror Entity, so they play something like they play a Ooze, and then you just lose out on the secret. So the difference is like if I pick Loot Porter or Lord of the Arena. I'm going to say screw it. This time I'm going to play a lot of taunt. I'm going to choose a lot of taunt in arena. Yes, this has the best value, but I'm going to pick this one because it's a taunt. I'm going to stop or attempt to stop all the aggros. Core Hound is not a good card against. It's not a good card against Rush, and it's not a good card against late game. So I'm not picking this. Undertaker is interesting because maybe I can draw some death rattles. Probably not. Mirror Entity I think is a slightly better than Undertaker, even though it's been losing a lot of values. Opponents just plays a lot of small creatures and go for face. But at least this slows them down a little bit. And Undertaker requires so many synergies with Death Rattles, it's really hard to get. So I'm picking Mirror Entity. Jungle Panther, Mana Worm, or Storm Single Gargoyle. Difference is I can pick Mana Worm or I can pick Jungle Panther. I have 2 spells so far, and Mana Worm is a good early drop. Now, if I'm going to play Jungle Panther, you can trade to opponent 4 health drop and sometimes even a 5 health drop. Mana Worm, on the other hand, is either played really early game or late game when you can use a spell to buff it to a 2/3. And since I'm planning on drafting a lot of spells, I'm gonna get most of the Frostbolt and most of the Flame Cannons I see in Arena. I'm going to go with Mana Worm. Okay, this is a case we have 6/4, 6/5, 4/4, 3/3. Both of these are taunts. This is a better taunt than Dread Corsair, but this one I have a heal, 6 mana, 5/4. All of these are not good creatures to pick in normal circumstances, but right now the current meta is not normal circumstance. So all 3 of these has its use. I already have a Lord of Arena. It's a fine taunt. But this one heals me for 4 health. Do I value the taunt more or do I value the health more? One thing for certain is in late games, I will be at either 12 or 13 health against most of the aggro matches. So this card has some use, but the 4 health is just so low. It's just basically 1 creature attack and that's it. And the 5/4 stats for 4 mana, for 6 mana is really bad. On the other hand, Red Corsair is 4 mana, has 3/3. Since I don't have a weapon, I don't think this card is that good, and the 3/3 trades for the enemy's 1 minion most of the times. At least Lords of the Arenas, I can use it to block 2 creatures, hopefully. So I'm going to pick Lord of the Arena. Spider Tank is a good draw, even though this is a taunt, but 2/4/2/2 taunt is nothing. You play this in early games, it's basically going to be traded anyway. And so is this one. Both of these are going to be traded in early game anyway. It's not going to stop aggro from building up. Therefore, I'm going to pick the 3/4 tank. Okay, here is an interesting choice. This by itself is not a good taunt since opponents don't usually have death rattles and you have to really time it well to when to play this card. Argent Commander is a really good card. It's 6 mana, you trade the board, you leave with a 4/2 body on the board. But the Unstable Portal is just so good in Arena. You get like legendaries half of the times, and most of these legendary can swing the game so much. And even if you don't get legendary, most of the minions you get are actually helpful. It's just ridiculous. I'm auto picking this card whenever I see it. Okay, Clockwork Gnome, Abusive Sergeant, or Fairy Dragon. All 3 of these cards are early drops, really good early drops. I will consider to pick this card if I can use it to buff up one of the other minions and trade them. But right now I don't have a lot of other minions. I only have 1 and 2. I have 3. Okay, if you count this one, 3 small minions for trading. Clockwork Gnome is another one. It's another low health creature that you get in early game. you can use to trade up, and then sometimes the spare part can be really useful. Let's see, do I pick the gnome or fairy dragon? I think in this case I will pick, well, something to take consideration is what does the opponent has in their opening hand? What do they play when at their turn 2 and turn 3? Do they play this more often? Do they play this more often? Do they play 3-2? And I believe they play more of 3-2. And since most of the people plays 3-2 or sometimes 2-3, this one actually has a lot more values. One is because it's a mech, and also it gives you a spare part. And it plays where there are 3-2s, and sometimes 2-3s you can ping it off. Arcane Explosion, deal 1 damage is a little bit too less, otherwise I would have picked it. Mech Warper, I have a decent number of mechs. I'm going to pick Mech Warper. This card, even though it has taunt, 1 damage is not enough. I'm going to pick Mech Warper. Okay, Mad Scientist, Clone of Cold, Ice Barrier. Mad Scientist is a good card to shuffle your decks. Clone of Cold is good for control, but you have to have something on board to trade it. So it happens in a situation where turn 3 or turn 4, both of you have like 2 or 3 creatures on board, and you can't trade it normally, or you don't want to trade and you want to go face. You play Clone of Cold to freeze them for a turn, go for face, or you freeze them. The 1 damage will make you able to do some value trade. That's when you use it. But right now, I think the better pick is still the Mad Scientist. It allows you to shuffle at least 1 secret in your deck, and if you have Mirror Entity in starting hand, then this is kind of useless. But we're still at 12 cards. I'm going to pick the Mad Scientist. Still, because it's at least a 2-2 body, you can still use it to trade to an opponent's 2-3 or 3-2. Ice Barrier, well, it's kind of like an 8 health heal, but you have to keep in mind that right now GvG card, the 4 mana 4/3 steals the secret on Battlecry. That card actually was able to steal my Ice Barrier 1 game, and I lost the game. So secret lost some value in this new expansion, and my choice is going to be either Clockwork Gnome or Mana Worm. And I'm tempted to pick another Mana Worm because I have a bunch of spells. I have 3 spells, and I already have a Clockwork Gnome. So I'm going to pick the Mana Worm. Iceland, again, we don't have a lot of ways to freeze yet, so I'm not going to pick this. Sinjin, I'm going to pick Sinjin. He's a good taunt, 5 health. Okay, Arcane Intellect, Cobalt, Geomancer, or Mad Bomber. I'm going to pick the Mad Bomber. If it damages an opponent's 2 health creature or 3 health creature and get it down to 1, I can ping it with my hero power, so I'm going to pick Mad Bomber. Silence, Owl, or Yeti. I will not pick Owl because even though it's like a 2 mana silence, opponent overload 1. Overload 2. Spellbreaker is a better silence. It leaves a body that's really hard to deal with. Chewing Yeti is fine, but in terms of utility wise, Spellbreaker is a lot more useful. You can silence off their taunt, allows your minion to trade with their minions more effectively. And Yeti is kind of clunky in the current meta because they can, most of the time it's just like, if they see a Yeti, for example, if they see a 4/5, they just go for your face and then just you have to do the trade yourself. So I'm going to take Spellbreaker. Mirror Entity, do we already have one? We already have a Mirror Entity, don't we? Okay, we have another Lord of the Arena. I already have 2, so I'm not going to pick another one. Even though I kind of just want to pick all the taunts I see in Arena to stop all the aggro metas. But in this case, Mechanical Yeti is a slightly better card, and I have a lot of Let's see. Actually, I don't have that much high drops. I have a lot of 2 drops, but since I already tapped 2, I'm going to pick a Yeti just to smooth out my mana curves. Arcane Missile, Acidic Swamp Ooze. I'll pick a Ooze to stop all the weapons. Knowledge Teachers, Matter Bomber, Goblin Sapper. This card is pretty hard to play too. Opponents will always have 6 or less cards. If they have like 8 or 9 cards that they can't play in their hands, you won the game. So this is really no point of playing this. Matter Bomber, this has the ability to ping off a 3 health creature if you're really lucky, or 2 of their 2 health creatures. While a teacher, the thing is, the turn you play this, you can't really play a lot of spells. It's either you play this at turn 4, turn 5, then most of the spells are 2 mana, 3 manas, sometimes 7 manas. So you really need to take your turn, either delay when you play this or play this and hopefully it doesn't get traded. But Matter Bomber has a much higher tempo swing in Arena. I'm going to pick Bomb Lobber or Blizzard. This is a good single target control. This is a good multi-target control. I do kind of need a board wipe. This allows you to kill one of the big creatures, and this allows you to kill many of the small creatures. Now, 20 cards in, I have not seen a Blizzard, and I will say if I don't have ways to trade off small creatures, well, I have only 1 Frostbolt. A bomb that can count as a small removal. No other ways of removal. I'm going to pick the Blizzard because it's a bigger removal, more reliable than this one. This one has to be relying on my energy, and if I can't get a good early board removal, like the hand I have right now, it does not have a good removal, I'm going to pick Blizzard. This again, 6 stat, 5/4, 4 health to your hero is bad stats. And I actually have seen a lot of people play this in Arena because it's 2 creatures. It's harder for you to deal with, and then sometimes you just get run over from that. I already have a Yeti. I might consider play the Razorfin Hunter because it's a lot more rushy type in the early game. Yeti and 4 mana. Once at turn 4 and 5, 6, the game is pretty much decided. At turn 3, this turn 3 and turn 4 are the most crucial turns in Arena in the current meta. Because turn 5, 6, 7, if you're losing, you just keep playing and do unfortunate trades. And if you're winning, you just keep pressing on board. Unless they have a board wipe, then you might lose in that case. So I'm gonna pick the Razorfin Hunter, but in terms of value, Mechanical Yeti has a lot more values. Razorfin Hunter is just more aggro-ish. Okay, Water Elemental is a really good pick, even after GvG. It's still a really good pick. Solid pick, I'm picking it. Arcane Explosion versus Non-Mage Inventor. That is a card draw, yes. That is a small AoE, but it doesn't trade off many things. 1d3. Do I go for the card draw or do I go for the small AoE? Based on what I saw in the previous arena match, Arcane Explosion have its place. Most of the time, when you're going to trade, their minions are not that big to ping off. They have like 3 health, 2 health, sometimes 1 health creatures hiding behind the taunt going for your face. So Arcane Explosion is not a bad card, and since most people don't pick Arcane Explosion in Arena, people don't play around Arcane Explosion. It's like people don't play against Blizzard. They play against Flame Strike, but they don't play against Blizzard. So this one and this one can be surprising a lot of times. Problem is I have a Matter Bomber and a Matter Bomber. And they kind of act like Arcane Explosions, the RNG factor that is. And draw card. I will pick Arcane Explosion because it's a bigger tempo swing than the Non-Mage Inventor. It just draws you a card It just draws you a card, but the 2 damage doesn't kill off many of the creatures at turn 4. You see, most of these has either 5, 6, or 3 health, so it doesn't help you to turn the board. It only fills up your hand, which if you can't play anything, it doesn't win. And I'm gonna go with Arcane Explosion. Charge, Stormwind Knight. This card is pretty good if you can coin it out on turn 3 and take back the board. Trade for 2 or 3 small creatures. And most people don't expect, and most people, they can't play around this card because they don't expect it. They expect Frostbolt, Flame Cannons. This is not a Euro pick in Arena, so I'm gonna pick it. I have 1 secret, and it's already a mirror entity, and I'm not really that interested in picking another one. Mirror Mage, the problem with Mirror Image is you have to have something to buff up the damage, like a doggy, so it becomes 1/2/1/2. But if you just play by itself, it just delays something by 1 turn, which can be useful sometimes, but Mirror Entity is 2 taunts. 2 taunts. This one helps you to stabilize the board, this one helps you to take the board. This one helps you to take the board, and this one helps you to stabilize the board. And it doesn't kill off your enemy creatures. The difference is this one is 1 mana, this one is 4 mana. So, I think if I can combo it with Mana Worm on the first turns, it might be useful. I haven't picked Mirror Energy that much before. Even though this is the better pick, I'm going to pick Mirror Image to see how it fares in the current meta. The current meta is just like a completely shift from the previous one. It used to be control, flame strike, more control, play around and attack, control. Now it's just face. Do you have a taunt? You don't. Okay. Arcanine Reaper face, I win. Fireball. Okay, this is an interesting card. It's really hard to deal with. Sometimes it get coddled, but most of the time you have to waste 2 creatures to attack this one. The problem with this one is Mage has Fireball, which is a lot better than Reckless. Noivtron, I'm going to pick a Noivtron. Okay, Duplicate or Ogre Magi. Ogre Magi is it's a fine for 4 stats. It's a fine 4 for 4 stats, but my current deck has a lot of good 4-drops. Those are really good 4-drops, and I have a lot of good 2-drops. Duplicate can help me to gain back those 2-drops and put more 2-drops, so I'm gonna take Duplicate. 2 more picks. Salty Dog, Torn Warrior, or Razorfen. This one has a 5 stats for 7 mana. It's like a better version of Gorehowl. This one, Razorfen Hunter. Razorfen Hunter in late games is becoming less and less useful. And I don't have a lot of big creatures. I have a lot of small creatures. If I'm in the game, if I'm in a situation where I stabilized the early board control, since I have a lot of small creatures and I don't have anything big to help to counter their big creatures, they can play like an aardvark, and I have to sack all my small creatures. So in this case, I'm gonna pick Salty Dog because it is a 5 mana 7 stat. Okay, I will pick this card if I have a lot of secret, but I only have 2 secret. I also have a Matter Bomber, and Sludge Belcher is still the best taunt in the game. So I'm gonna pick Sludge Belcher. Now this is the kind of deck that I don't really pick in Arena. I have 1 taunt, 2 taunts, 3 taunts, well, 4 taunts, 5 taunts, 6 taunts. I should have 1 more. 7 taunts. 7 taunts. 8 and 9 taunts. I have 9 taunts in this deck. A pretty decent early game, so I may be able to go rush my opponent. And even though I don't really like face rushing opponent, I like to play the control orbs. If I play control in the current meta, I will lose. Plus, I don't have any way to regain control. I only have one blizzard. I don't have a sheep. I only have one arcane explosion. I was not offered flame strike. I can't really go into late game anyway. So the best way to do is to go really push for early games. Only do the value trade if they stops your aggro. If some trade doesn't look to be the best trade, go for face. And that's it for the drafting process. Let's see how we do in this arena.